There's nothing like being able to like, have a place to study what you want to do and have, people with experience showing you things, but you never get a full picture of what the real world's going to be like.
Right.
It's funny, actually, one of the things that Brian Kehoe said to me when I first moved here, he's like, so what do you want to do? What are you doing? And I'm like, well, I went to school for this and this and this. He's like, yeah, nobody cares. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, that's great, and it's, it's cool that you've got that, but when you, go somewhere, that's really not a factor.
Sure.
As far as like your success or whatever. It's a foundation, but nothing can replace, just being around professionals who know what they're doing. And that's kind of a drag that there's not as big a opportunity for people now, because there's just not as many commercial studios.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when I moved here, it was like I had this huge, and you probably remember the big studio menu, and it was like 4 pages of tiny print of all the recording studios, and you'd just call them and see, like, bring resumes by, and you could start as a runner or start as an intern or whatever and work your way up. And now that list is probably like half a page.
Sure.
Like there's still Capitol, Conway, Record Plant, places like that.
Sunset.
Exactly. So that's where I really, like, you have your education, and then you have your real education when you're actually around the real stuff.
Sorry to throw you on the spot. What would you do again now if you think you were doing this again?
I don't know. I might consider just jumping in. I mean, I like the college experience because I liked all the other things that I learned and studied. And
I think given the current climate, what do you think?
Current climate, if I was starting today, it's hard to say because, like I said, there's so fewer opportunities. I mean, I would definitely try to get into a place that was a big place that did tracking and had all that, could expose me to all that stuff again. But there is a whole new world of doing things on your own and, working in the computer, and, it's probably more, it might have led me more towards like the sort of, writing and composing side of things, quicker, because you'd just be doing everything on your own and just kind of generating music on your own versus seeking out artists to work with. That might be a different sort of angle that I would take if I were starting out today.
Right.
But
yeah, I get asked all the time, and it's great to meet somebody like you that's sort of in that sort of halfway house, because you started mid-late 90s, just as the industry was kind of...
Yeah, I always say I got on the last bus out of the station, as far as the old way of doing things. At the Record Plant, like the things I learned how to do were like, synchronizing 2 analog tape machines, using the remote on a 3348 to fly vocals around. You remember, like, there was a formula, you would take the beats per minute and, calculate with the time code, like exactly what kind of offset to put in the Lynx modules to fly background vocals. There were guys that would come in that were just absolute whizzes. There were guys that would come in with like ADATs and like record, stacks of background vocals, and then just like, boom, 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 offsets, fly them.
Right.
And they would take stuff off a 24 track and use an ADAT with the, what was that thing called? The big BRC. And they would fly them into the ADAT.
I mean, how did I know that?
Yeah, we all used them. They'd put them in the ADAT and then use that to fly things around. There's like,
I was never very good at that.
Yeah,